What's going on, everybody? You found Bottom Tier Collector, and I'm your host, The Bearded One. As always, thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting on my content. It's always much appreciated. I used to have a saying on my channel back in the closet days, bottom tier content from a bottom tier collector, and that definitely rings true today, bringing you a very bottom tier content video. I'm doing top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. I know you comment people, don't run away. That's one of the reasons I called myself bottom tier collector. It's give me the flexibility and freedom to talk about more than just comic books, but I promise you, comic books will always be the backbone of this channel. But I'm going to talk about wrestling. I've been in a wrestling mood lately. I think it's time to put up my first wrestling video. And what better way to do that than to talk about my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time? I don't usually like to do honorable mentions. I feel like that's cheating, but doing a top 10, I don't just love just 10 wrestlers in the history of wrestling. So I feel like I needed to talk about a couple honorable mentions just to show the love and respect I have for other wrestlers. So number one, I feel like I have to talk about Ultimate Warrior, honorably mentioning the Ultimate Warrior. That may surprise people that he's not on my top 10 all-time list, but it's just hard for me to take out the top 10. But who can argue that gimmick? And he's probably the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He had that legendary match with Hulk Hogan to take the world title. Just the quickest ascendance of a superstar I've ever seen. From just, a B-lister to world champion in no time. And, I know he's a jerk. Well, I've heard he's a jerk. I've watched the Rise and Fall of the Ultimate Warrior from the WWE and their side of things. I've never seen anything from the Ultimate Warrior side of things. I can't remember his real name. But, that gimmick, you just cannot deny the sheer size and strength of the Ultimate Warrior. That him gorilla pressing people like it was nothing. Him running around like a race animal, and the promos like, load the rocket ship with the fuel. Excuse me. You feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior. Dig yourself into my bones, into my muscles. Or the Hogan. Get into the ship, Hogan. Like, such classic promos from the Ultimate Warrior. You feel the power. It cracks me up just thinking about it right now and acting it out. But yeah, honorably mention the Ultimate Warrior. I feel like I gotta honorably mention Sting. I don't know where the love fell apart at with me and Sting, but when I was a kid, I was all about Sting. I was a super mark for Sting. When I was a kid, I actually rooted for the faces, and Sting was the ultimate face. He was the guy that was going to take down the NWO. I can't believe I used to hate the NWO as a kid. I was all about the Wolfpack, though. I thought the Wolfpack were the good guys, and they were going to take out the black and white NWO. And, Sting had those legendary feuds with Hulk Hogan and NWO. And I look at Sting as the ultimate guy that never sold out. Now, granted, he went to WWE, and I'm still, resent Triple H for writing it in that he's going to be the guy to beat Sting. God. That crushed my spirit when that happened. But he left WWE and went to AEW, and now he's mentoring Darby Allin. And I think that's so cool. Darby's such a cool wrestler, such a cool gimmick. And, Sting's the man. So, got to honorably mention Sting. I feel like I got to honorably mention Jon Moxley. I love Jon Moxley. My intro to Jon Moxley was Dean Ambrose. The Wild Man. He kind of reminded me of a modern-day Cactus Jack. My favorite memory of Dean Ambrose, I remember seeing him go head-to-head with Brock Lesnar. I think it was for WrestleMania, or maybe it was for SummerSlam. I don't know. It was one of their bigger pay-per-views. They tend to promote a little more. And he told Brock Lesnar, take me to Suplex City. And I thought that was so cool because I hate Brock Lesnar and Suplex City. I think Brock Lesnar is so terrible for the industry, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, love Dean Ambrose, love Jon Moxley. Now he's a ripped up, buff guy. He does the paradigm shift on people. His feud with Kenny Omega in season 1, where they stripped the mat and fought on the boards. That is legendary to me. Love Jon Moxley. And I love other wrestlers, but I'm going to get into the top 10 now. At number 10, I got to mention Dusty Rhodes. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I love watching Starrcade 85. I watch his matches with Ric Flair from time to time. And I love that they were able to string several years out of a feud with Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. It wasn't just a short story arc from one pay-per-view to the next pay-per-view, which is what mid-2000s WWE was. Your story arc began at the end of a pay-per-view, and then it ended at the end of the next pay-per-view. And it just got way too formulaic for me, and I thought that's when wrestling started, was dead and dying. However, when I think back to the 80s and what Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes were able to do with such a long feud, I just think it's hard to do these days. And, I love all the famous promos. I admit I don't look like the athlete of the day. My belly's a little big, that promo, and I'm the son of a plumber. And I think son of a plumber is part of Hard Times. You don't know Hard Times, Ric Flair. He got the people behind him. Dusty Rhodes represented us, the middle-class American. And we wanted him to beat Ric Flair, the pompous, rich guy that thought he could have any woman in the room at any time. And then just seeing Ric Flair, that big tubby dude, shaking his butt and getting the crowd going in those NWA days, just fantastic. And he wasn't scared to bleed either. He had the world's most scarred up forehead, but he did it. He did it for the crowd, and I forever give my respects to Dusty Rhodes. R.I.P. to the American Dream. Next up, I gotta talk about Sabu. I don't know a lot about Sabu, unfortunately. I need to see a documentary. I need to watch more matches of Sabu. I think Sabu had a pretty good feud with RVD. I think they had a rivalry. I just remember Sabu being my favorite guy from ECW. The turban and the headdress, and that oboe intro, the the Snake Charmer intro. Loved it. And I thought he just had a unique moveset. He was kind of high flying, but he kind of wasn't. Just love Sabu. Love those ECW days. I've seen in documentaries where wrestlers put down hardcore wrestling. I think it has its place. I definitely think hardcore wrestling is wrestling, and Sabu's my guy when it comes to hardcore wrestling. At number 8, I gotta mention MJF. MJF is one of the hottest wrestlers out right now. He's just got a little bit of Ted DiBiase in him. He's got a little bit of Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect in him. Maybe there's a little bit of Rick Rude in there. And he just got such a classic heel vibe to him. He is such a student of wrestling. He definitely knows his history. And I respect the guy. He's such a good wrestler. And then he keeps kayfabe alive. He's still kayfabe outside the ring, and he dumps on wrestlers. And I was there after the heel turn with Cody, where he whipped Cody on the back with a belt. That was the first pro wrestling show I ever went to here in Huntsville when the AEW came to Huntsville, and enjoyed the experience. I didn't get to see MJF wrestle, but I got to see him in a promo, so that was pretty cool. And I'm excited to see where MJF takes his character in the future. At number 7, I gotta mention Bubba Ray Dudley. Bubba Ray Dudley is, how did I say this? He's like the master of cheap heat. My favorite moment of Bubba Ray Dudley is at 1997 Heat Wave, where the entire faction comes out. They're not the Dudley Boys at this point, but like Big Dick Lebowski comes out, Devon Dudley comes out, some more people come out, and they introduce Bubba Ray, and Bubba Ray, excuse my French, I'm going to mark this not safe for kids, but Bubba Ray's like talking shit to the crowd, and he looks in the front row, and Bubba Ray says, looks like we got a mom here who's taught her daughter how to suck dick. I love the outlandish things Bubba Ray does. He just does and says anything he wants, and it's gold. Gold. I see this clip all the time circulating on Instagram where Devon and Bubba Ray like powerbomb this grandma in a wheelchair off the side of the stage. It's just so wild. I have a thing for like white trash TV, like Steve Wilkos and Jerry, not necessarily Jerry Springer, but like Maury and Lizard Lick Towing and Hardcore Pawn, like stuff I would consider white trash TV, Divorce Court. And Bubba Ray is the wrestler for that crowd. He's the white trash wrestler, and it's great. It is great. Bubba Ray just brings a smile to my face whenever I think about Bubba Ray Dudley. Devon, get the tables! Legendary stuff. What are we up to? Number 6. Number 6, another guy I don't know a lot about, but a guy I fell in love with the moment I watched him. That's Joe Cephas. Joe Cephas is super underground. I think the thing he's famous for, I forget his name. He's that guy in the Scream movie that held the championship belt in WCW, and he starred in the movie Scream. Oh, it's killing me that I don't remember that guy's name right now. Anyways, Joe Cephas feuded with him in the underground circuit. I think the loser of the match, had to shave their head. And when he came to NWA is where I got informed of Joe Cephas. He was just this goofy, corny, like Adam West, cheesy heel. But it worked. It was like a so bad it's good kind of thing. Like he knew what he was doing. He knew he looked like a tub of lard. He knew that he needed a haircut. He knew that his costume looked cheap. But it worked. He made it work. And then before he died, rest in peace, Joe Cephas. You died way too young. He became The Question, I believe. And just a stupid gimmick where he dressed up like a luchador, and he had this big question mark on his mask, I think. And he looked so cheap and awful. And I just thought it just made me laugh every time he came out. I love me some Joe Cephas. Legend. I would love to have seen him been picked up by AEW or WWE, but I am privileged to have been introduced to him back when NWA, you could see the whole NWA show on YouTube. I think they got a contract with Fight TV, and you can't see NWA on YouTube anymore, at least the full programming. So now we're moving into the top 5. Who's going to be my top 5 of all time? Well, I'm kind of cheating about number 1. There's a reason for that. We'll get into number 5. Number 5 goes into the so bad it's good category. I said this on Instagram, so if you follow me on Instagram, you already know this. Santino Marella is legitimately top 5 all time for me. And I know at this point, you're thinking this guy is an idiot. He doesn't know wrestling. This list is shit. And you know what? It is shit. And I love it. I love wrestlers that are so bad they're good. And Santino Marella falls into that category. One of my favorite memories of Santino Marella is seeing the promo where he's cutting up with some girls backstage. He's like, why do girls like Batista? Everybody likes Batista. All Batista do is get on stage and go bang, 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 bang. And then Batista's like behind him. It gives him the, was it the animal bomb or whatever Batista's finisher was? That cracked me up. And then when Santina power struts into the ring at the Royal Rumble and Kane, like 1 second, eliminates him, and he goes, I wasn't ready. That's another great Santina moment. I remember watching a SummerSlam match one year, and the strap was on the line in the match. And Santino, I keep calling him Santina, that was his female gimmick. Santino was in the match. And for like 30 seconds, like a 2 or 3 minute time span, everybody's like knocked out but Santino. And for like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm just on the edge of my seat screaming, like, give him the strap. Give Santino the strap. Do it. And he even like Cobra'd Triple H, and I think it got reversed or something, and then he didn't get the belt, but he came so close, and I was rooting for him so hard to win the title. Love Santino Marella. He's one of the funniest wrestlers of all time. Number four is an easy one for me. CM Punk, Chick Magnet Punk, Chicago Made Punk, whatever you want to call CM Punk. I watched his documentary made by the WWE, probably one of their best documentaries of all time. I fell in love with CM Punk, when I was still playing music, and I was very much a punk at heart. I was very big into questioning my faith and my beliefs and the way I was raised. I was getting very rebellious, which that phase of my life led to me being arrested and thrown in the drunk tank one night. And it was there in county prison where I decided to clean my life up. And I got rid of a lot of people. And here I am today. But CM Punk was just kind of there with me in that journey. The anarchist, rebellious journey I was on. And I just really felt when he dropped that pipe bomb, whether it was a work, and Vince McMahon was trying to just make money off of it, whether it was real and Vince McMahon just took the gamble, I don't know. But he just captured my heart when he dropped the pipe bomb. Just everything I felt about authority and the giant rat race and everything I was feeling about life and what's the purpose of life. Like, he captured that in the pipe bomb. He captured my anger in that pipe bomb, and I just loved it. I thought he was the best heel on the mic since Stone Cold. I can't say he's better than Stone Cold, but heel CM Punk, from Stone Cold to the start of AEW, in my opinion, CM Punk filled the gap and just really took wrestling to a level nobody else could, in my opinion. He was that damn good, in my opinion. The best in the world. It still is today. I wish he had the AEW strap, but there's some kind of work or real life feud going on with him and Omega. And who knows how that's going to play out. But yeah, CM Punk, he's the dude. He is the dude. My favorite current era wrestler, period. And that's kind of going to spoil myself. So now we're getting into the top three. And I can't really rank these guys. All three of these guys in my top three technically qualify for my favorite wrestler of all time. I love each of these wrestlers so much that I could not split hairs. and say I like this guy more than the other guy. But I will start off with Macho Man Randy Savage. I love Macho Man Randy Savage. Those epic promos, the cream of the crop. The cream rises to the top. Mean Gene. Ooh, yeah. And the snap into a Slim Jim. I'm doing the world's worst Macho Man impersonation. I've also got congestion, so I'm just going to stop there with the Macho Man impersonations. But, I watched WWE came out with a Macho Man anthology, and I devoured it. The history of Macho Man. Watched so many matches of Macho Man. Greatest elbow drop of all time. He probably had the greatest. What happened? Was it? Let me see if you wrestle historians correct me if I'm wrong. But did he not wrestle like the undercard, the midcard, and the main event at one WrestleMania? There's something to do with either WrestleMania 3 or WrestleMania 4, where it's one of the greatest performances of all time by a wrestler, where he just dominated the whole show, and then took the strap at the end. Now, granted, he took the strap because Hogan was in Hollywood and making movies, and they needed somebody to fill the gap while Hogan's off making movies. So he gave it to his buddy Macho, but I hate that. But nevertheless, he was the champion for a little bit. I didn't like the King Macho era, but still, it's still part of his history. I liked Macho Madness in the NWO, and then Wolfpack right there at the end. His time with Elizabeth. She made women important in wrestling, in my opinion. I know she was largely just eye candy and didn't do much, but I think Elizabeth put attention on females in wrestling, in my opinion. She showed that females have more to offer in wrestling. Take that for what you will. Number 2, again, this isn't my second favorite wrestler of all time. It's just how I'm ordering these guys. Rick, the Nature Boy Flair. I love Ric Flair. The greatest promos of all time. Greatest lines of all time. Jet stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time keeping these alligators on. I've spilt more liquor than you made in 1 year. The Four Horsemen, the greatest, the most title reigns of all time, unless somebody's beaten him by now. Greatest feuds of all time with Dusty Rhodes. He was wrestling well into his 50s and 60s with Evolution. He just had his last match, I think this past summer. His last wrestling match of all time he had in Memphis. I don't know if he fought Jerry the King Lawler, but I think Jerry was there. And just the I feel like as big as Ric Flair always was, he was always in Hulk Hogan's shadow. And I feel like now is when wrestling fans appreciate Ric Flair. We didn't appreciate him back then, like we did Hulk Hogan. We never got the big Hulk Hogan Ric Flair title match. I heard after Flair won the '92 Royal Rumble, they were supposed to have a match or something. They were supposed to give us the big match. I think Hogan and Flair finally did fight. They were like dusty and old, and no one wanted to see it. But there was something to do in 1992 when they were supposed to fight, and there was politics involved. And then Ric Flair goes to WCW and Hulk Hogan goes to WC. I don't know. One of them went to WCW first. I don't remember. I get my WCW history confused from time to time. But yeah, I can just go on and on about Ric Flair. And the number one, you know, again, just depending on my mood, the day, the time, the hour, Ric Flair, Macho Man, or Razor Ramon / Scott Hall, the bad guy, is my favorite wrestler of all time. Great. I said Ultimate Warrior is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and I have to retcon that to throw a comic book term out there. Scott Hall, I mean, Razor Ramon is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. They had the greatest ladder match of all time with Shawn Michaels. I don't remember the pay-per-view, but great match. And he just exuded what it was to be a heel. Like the greatest heel of all time. Whether he was Razor Ramon or Scott Hall. I mean, the most heel thing I can think of. The championship match with Goldberg and Kevin Nash. And Scott, I remember being a kid and hearing about this. And this is back when I rooted for good guys. And I hated Scott Hall. It's crazy to think about how look at the list. There's hardly any faces on my list. But yeah, he cattle prods Goldberg, and the ref doesn't see it, and Kevin Nash gets the title. That's one of the most heel moves I can think of. And then all the promos, hey, yo, I'm going to bust your head. It's me, Razor Ramon. You know, and then are you here for the NWO, or are you here for the WCW? Score one for the bad guys. You know, and then the sidewalk he did into the ring, and the shake, and man, just Scott Hall had it. He was the epitome of cool. If you wanted to know what cool was, just watch Scott Hall. Too bad he was never world champion in WCW or WWF. That's gonna do me, guys. Am I gonna make it through the video or not? I don't know. That's gonna do me for this video, guys. There's plenty more wrestlers I love. I need to get back into wrestling. I need to watch more wrestling. I watched tons of wrestling documentaries. Maybe I could dig deep into my knowledge and talk about wrestling. But that'll do me for now. Hope you liked this list. If I'm able to pull it off, I'm going to try and put some pictures of wrestlers up here in the corner somewhere. So if it works, you'll have already seen those pictures by now. But since I'm filming this before I do the edit, that's why you're seeing it in the video. Wolfpack for life. Because NWO is just too sweet.